visible only in very thin hands. The dorsal surface of the fifth is, however, subcutaneous throughout almost its whole length. Slightly lateral to the middle line of the hand is a prominence, frequently well marked, but occasionally indistinct, formed by the styloid process of the third metacarpal bone. It is situated about 4 cm distal to the dorsal radial tubercle. The heads of the metacarpal bones can be plainly seen and felt, rounded in contour and standing out in bold relief under the skin when the fist is clenched. The head of the third is the most prominent. In the palm of the hand, the metacarpal bones are covered by muscles, tendons, and aponeuroses, so that only their heads can be distinguished. The base of the metacarpal bone of the thumb, however, is prominent dorsally, distal to the styloid process of the radius. The body of the bone is easily palpable, ending at the head in a flattened prominence, in front of which are the sesamoid bones. The enlarged ends of the phalanges can be easily felt. When the digits are bent, the proximal phalanges form prominences, which in the joints between the first and second phalanges are slightly hollow, but flattened and square-shaped in those between the second and third. Articulations. The sternoclavicular joint is subcutaneous, and its position is indicated by the enlarged sternal extremity of the clavicle, lateral to the long cord-like sternal head of sternocleidomastoideus. If this muscle be relaxed, a depression between the end of the clavicle and the sternum can be felt, defining the exact position of the joint. The position of the acromioclavicular joint can generally be ascertained by determining the slightly enlarged acromial end of the clavicle, which projects above the level of the acromion. Sometimes this enlargement is so considerable as to form a rounded eminence. The shoulder joint is deeply seated and cannot be palpated. If the forearm be slightly flexed, a curved crease or fold with its convexity downward is seen in front of the elbow, extending from one epicondyle to the other. The elbow joint is slightly distal to the center of the fold. The position of the radiohumeral joint can be ascertained by feeling for a slight groove or depression between the head of the radius and the capitulum of the humerus, at the back of the elbow joint. The position of the proximal radio-ulnar joint is marked on the surface at the back of the elbow by the dimple which indicates the position of the head of the radius. The site of the distal radio-ulnar joint can be defined by feeling for the slight groove at the back of the wrist, between the prominent head of the ulna and the lower end of the radius, when the forearm is in a state of almost complete pronation. Of the 3 transverse skin furrows on the front of the wrist, the middle corresponds fairly accurately with the wrist joint, while the most distal indicates the position of the midcarpal articulation. The metacarpophalangeal and interphalangeal joints are readily available for surface examination. The former are situated just distal to the prominences of the knuckles. The latter are sufficiently indicated by the furrows on the volar and the wrinkles on the dorsal surfaces. End of section 55.